My name is Frances. I am 29 years old now, but this story really begins when I was 28. That was the age when my life quietly split into two parts. Before the diagnosis, I was just a normal working woman. Small dreams, long plans, the kind of life where you assume time is on your side. And then one afternoon, a doctor looked at me and said words that felt like they were spoken underwater. Stage 3 cancer. I remember nodding, even though I didn't fully understand. I remember standing up too fast. I remember my hands shaking as I walked out of the hospital. My phone felt heavy in my palm. There was only one thing I wanted to do. I called my parents. I didn't even say hello properly. I cried. I told them everything in one breath. What the doctor said, how serious it was, how scared I felt. Then there was silence. Not the comforting kind, the wrong kind. Too long, too empty. And then my dad sighed. He said, "We can't deal with this right now. Your sister is planning her wedding." I waited. I honestly thought I misheard him. I waited for him to say sorry, to ask how bad it was, to tell me to come home. Instead, my mom added softly that this was already a stressful time for the family and that I should be strong. The call ended quickly. I stood there staring at the wall, realizing something terrifying. Not just that I had cancer, but that I was about to go through it alone. The days after that blurred together. Appointments, scans, paperwork. Chemo was scheduled fast, like the universe didn't care that I hadn't even processed the diagnosis yet. I kept thinking my parents would call back, that maybe they were just in shock. They didn't. When chemo started, I sat in a cold chair, surrounded by strangers. Machines beeped calmly, like nothing important was happening. I watched other patients get blankets tucked around them, hands being held, tears wiped away. No one sat beside me. No one drove me home. I learned to pack my own snacks, to bring my own courage, to cry quietly so no one would notice. My hair fell out in clumps. The mirror showed a woman I barely recognized. But the worst pain wasn't the cancer. It was the absence of my parents. Every time I tried to share how bad it was, I felt like an inconvenience. So I stopped calling. Silence hurt less than disappointment. I even attended my sister's wedding, wearing a wig that didn't feel like mine, smiling through exhaustion. People congratulated my parents. No one asked about me. I stood alone, invisible, wondering how it was possible to feel so forgotten by people who shared my blood. That night, I sat outside under the stars and made myself a promise. If I survived this, I would never forget who showed up and who didn't. The treatments lasted months. There were nights I slept on the bathroom floor, mornings I couldn't lift my head, but I kept going. 2 years later, the doctor finally said the words I barely dared to imagine: cancer-free. I cried in my car, not from relief alone, but from the realization that I survived the hardest chapter of my life without my family. Last week, my dad called. He was crying. He said he needed a caregiver, that he was scared, that he couldn't manage alone anymore. As he spoke, memories rushed back. The empty hospital chairs, the silence, the wedding music playing while I sat alone outside. My answer took exactly 4 words: I can't deal now. The line went silent. For the first time in my life, my father had no words. People love stories where the sick daughter forgives everyone, rushes home, sacrifices herself again. This isn't that story. This is a story about survival, about boundaries, about learning that love without action is just noise. Walking away doesn't always mean hatred. Sometimes it means choosing yourself, and sometimes the bravest thing you can do is refuse to rewrite history just to make others comfortable.